Now, with regard to my own, when people ask me on the trail, what is your vision for Bangalore North? I'll just stick to that, right? So, one part of my vision is to solve people's pain problems, pain points. So, one of that is traffic, right? Now, I've already piloted metro feeder buses, and there was an article today which said that that has really helped Metro increase its traffic. It's light actually, and thank you. Then this thing, what shall we say? Suburban rail is something that I've been advocating for a long time. So in this context, when you see those sorts of issues, you realize that there's already some commitment to fixing traffic problems by getting people to move from personal to public transport. Now, by making that easy and available. Now, in addition to that, right, if you look at the choke points like Hebal flyover or Kiarpuram or something like that, a lane or two extra might solve the problem for in a temporary manner, but we need to do something more. So I I'm articulating the need to create an integrated multimodal transit hub in the Hebal flyover area where people can switch between suburban and metro and bus and highway. Okay, if you can just picture something like that, that's an example of how one can address traffic related issues. Now, in moving on, the other major concern, of course, is water, climate resilient. Water is the problem, but the solution is really to develop in a more climate resilient manner. And there, with regard to, we need to save our keres and kalways and our lakes and our canals. We need to put in a lot of effort to create a movement for rainwater harvesting across the households of Bengaluru. We need to fix apartment plumbing such that there are at least two lines, one for drinking water and one for reusable non-potable purposes, treated water. And of course, then of course, we are already allowing apartments to sell their STP treated water for industrial uses. So those sorts of things, and then work on recharge, work on protecting lakes from contamination, etc. One of the advantages for having gone out on this election campaign trail is that you see firsthand the sorry state of affairs for many of our lakes, the kind of contamination, all sorts of things like that. And so we have to put in the effort to fix those things. Now, there are models that exist in North itself. Rachirali, Jakkur, these lakes have been amazingly well repositioned. Now, in addition to this, when we talk about climate resilient, growth, it's about paying attention to our blue and green. Blue is, of course, water, and green is our nature and greenery, etc. And so that is another priority. We need to, green lots of spaces and in as effective a manner as possible. So that's one other, those are all part of the larger framework is about sustainable, inclusive development. And there, when we're talking about sustainable, we're talking about growing the city in we're using a different kind of planning, such that if you actually I'll give you an example of Brigade Gateway, okay, at a very, very high level. It's like an integrated township with thousands and thousands of people living there, but also having a school, shopping, entertainment, various other things in the same place, sports. So in the future, we need much more compact, 15-minute cities, where people can just walk to work, walk to play, walk to food, entertainment, shopping, and then you just have a much different kind of life, much denser housing than the single family home, urban sprawl, these sorts of things. And so when you start thinking and doing these things, I have other plans to decongest Bengaluru, focused on regional planning and industrial zones, trying to create new townships right next to employment hubs. If you imagine Hoskote, Narsapura, Malur, as three industrial hubs. People commute from Bangalore to these places. Well, actually, it would be better if they could just be there, right? And for that, they need healthcare and education and various other things. So we need to highway infrastructure is there, railway infrastructure is there, but this is the challenge. So think along those lines. Now, I don't want to just talk about pain points and solving them. I also want to think a little, about what would make life more happy. This is about quality of life. We need to ensure more cultural spaces for people to enjoy the finer things of life, art, music, drama, and places where the talent of North Bangalore can, flower. We also need to create a lot more sports facilities so that people are fitter, people enjoy the joys of team sports, and basically, we also need good education and healthcare, which is affordable and accessible. That's the inclusive development part. So when you start thinking about all these things, there's enough and more one can do, and if one does that, I think we'll be a lot of us will be enjoying life in a less stressful manner. And so these are part of the vision, as you might call it, or the manifesto. There's some more points, but this is where we are. Okay.
Thank you so much, Professor. I know you don't have time to take questions. Just one question. Just one question. What been asked by a lot of people like Amit Kushwaha, Jimson. What are your thoughts around Bangalore, or specifically Bangalore not being developed as a startup hub, right? So we have seen the IT development happening in Bangalore. Now the question is like, are we kind of stagnant in terms of the IT development? Have we kind of saturated with IT development, right? So what are the kind of future plans in terms of growth and development as an IT hub as well as a startup hub?
So on these fronts, basically the action is not much in North Bangalore. You have this one. What shall we say? Apart from Manyata, there's not that much action here. There's
Center, yeah.
different kinds of different kinds of other industries that are coming up. But we have tremendous amount of intellectual talent. It could be the Indian Institute of Science, various other scientific places. So research, right, is one agenda that can really be pushed forward. We only think IT, but actually there's very high-end research going on in Bangalore by government institutions, but especially by foreign companies as well. Right. So here I have been already pushing. I'm on the board of my old college, St. Joseph's University, and I've been saying, look, there are different things we need to do, which are very low cost. How do you just open up the doors of these institutions and build, bridges between them and the undergrad colleges that exist, and such that I'll just give you one example. If you have, these world-class scientists come and do 1 day a month, on their projects and what they're doing, etc., the youngsters will open their eyes and they'll be excited about newer things. We'll be able to create an atmosphere of curiosity, innovation, basically research that sparks the imagination, things like that. These are not costly. These require a certain other kind of intervention, right? And I think the base talent is there. And when you start going along these lines, right? When you start doing, that's research is one angle, but many other dimensions of, growth are there. If you think about these global capability centers, the higher, what you have today in basic IT is fairly low value addition. There's much higher value addition possible in other dimensions where we use our brains in more creative areas like research, etc. So some of these things, once we are in a position to think on a larger scale, right? These few months that I was in a planning commission, I was able to think along a statewide scale, right? When I talk about regional development, I was able to talk about pushing it for the Bangalore-Hosur region, but also the Bidar, Zahirabad, Hyderabad corridor, and we can talk about how these can be developed, etc. So that's where we are. So anyway, I'm not I don't have a sole monopoly over ideas or anything like that. I'm very eager to hear from all of you as well. Folks, you've been amazing. We share the same commitment to our constitution, to our party, to the secular idea of India, and it's time we put in that effort, one final push, and help our candidates win, including me. And we would be ever so grateful, and we will, take things forward. Okay. Thank you so much. Please, let's do whatever we can. Okay. Bye bye.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you so much, Professor. That was Professor Rajeev Gowda, our candidate for Bangalore North Lok Sabha constituency.
My father went to jail at the age of 15 in the freedom movement. My late uncle was a hero in the Quit India movement as a young college student. So I grew up in a very idealistic, public service focused atmosphere. And my aim was, I also want to do my bit for the country. If we are what we are, a united, democratic, prosperous nation filled with youngsters with hope and aspiration for a better future, that is the Congress's contribution to India.
ಪ್ರಬಲ ನಾಯಕತ್ವ, ಪ್ರಖರ ದೂರದರ್ಶಿತ್ವ, ಅಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿಯ ಮೂಲಮಂತ್ರ.